Hello everybody and welcome to Wine Library TV. I am your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and this, my friends, is the Thunder Show, aka the internet's most passionate wine program. And today we focus on a winery called Hughes, which has made, substantial news through the years as being a really interesting play. Hughes Wines are a company that sources wines from all over the world, hence the new label called the Flying Winemaker, which decided against to zoom in.
You will get it.
Well, then I'll zoom in. No, I'm just kidding. The Flying Winemaker, which is now more available as a broad market brand. It's a brand that did a lot of things with Costco. A lot of you probably have had it through that environment. It still tends to be a very heavily Costco-played wine, but also something you can buy directly through the chwine.com website. Link it up, Mott. And now the Flying Winemaker brand is also becoming more available. And you can get some of the lot plays because he always lots them up. Lot 124, 125, 100, lot 128 here. You can get them in some stores. I've seen it in New Mexico, different places of that nature. So a very interesting project. A very entrepreneurial, smart move, in my opinion. Well-run business. They've gone around and really done some really cool and interesting things in the past. And have been fairly successful with the tenacity and the quality of their wines at the price point. And obviously having partners that have huge distribution like a Costco has been a very smart alliance. We've done some Hughes wines on the show in the past. Maybe one through, was it Whoop.com actually sold one maybe? I don't remember exactly, but we were actually impressed with that effort. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about trying 6 different Hughes wines. I'm excited because, again, pretty available in the Costco's around the country, so knowing that a lot of you have had the ability to go out and buy these or try them, and so I'm excited on many different levels. I'm excited to be alive. There's a lot of sad news between Iran and Ed McMahon and Farrah Fawcett and Michael Jackson. But it's been a whole lot going on.
Busy week.
Busy week. Oh, Ma, we lowered the music. I wanted to have a little in the background. Busy week. Just a little something. I wouldn't call it a busy week, but I think we as a culture, we do spend more time looking at famous people dying, and there's tons of people dying, and I just get sad every time I see it because it makes me think, Michael Jackson's younger than my parents, so, gotta live, gotta drink good wine, and I hope that's it's a little escape from a lot of the scariness that's going on in the world. Let's read some comments from yesterday's episode. One wine did a little pour out, caused a little controversy. Ola said, "Did you really have to throw out that much wine? I get it when you rinse, but pour so much to leave half on the table and then just throw out almost a whole glass to the bucket. It's like burning money. It is exaggerated, don't you think?" Her question today of your nerdiest thing was, I guess, starting yet another blog with a wink. Ola, I think it is, and nobody wants to waste money, and I apologize that I respect. I saw some other comments that didn't like it. Once in a while, you just have to have a little fun. As all the events of yesterday have probably made a lot of people realize, you only get to play this game one time, life, and, playing it within the boundaries, coloring within the lines is great, and I really think that you should do it 95% of the time, maybe even 99%. But once in a blue moon, just going outside, making yourself a little happy, doing something a little silly is not the scariest thing in the world. For all those people that say, be like your Pops. Pops wastes money in his own way. So, we all do. And so, that's just my thought on that. Richie says, I love the pouring action. Really laughed my ass off on that. Thank you. Sure, Richie. Thank you back. Question today. Well, I had a conversation about wine the other day with my old geography teacher, which was very, very nerdy. Thanks, Richie. Phil M. says, hey, Gary, sorry, but I've been away for a while. Having a pregnant wife is like having a second full-time job. I hope to get back to collecting soon, Phil. I know that. Big shout-out to Lizzie and Misha. Love you, girls. Thomas Moore says, you were really right about the squeaky chairs. Time to replace them. Mott, is that where we...
That's why I swapped it out.
Give it a little love. I mean, we're retiring a chair here. I mean, this chair did a whole lot. This chair has been through a whole lot, and we don't want to just, put it over here and retire it. We want to give it homage. So, Mott, please, let's play the music. This chair has been good to us. Mott, this chair has been good to us, and we want to thank you, chair, and all your squeakiness what you've done. You've sat here. You're part of this just as much as Mott and I have been, and so we thank you. Wouldn't you say, Mott? I mean, you know, it's important. You can't just, you know, furniture has feelings too. That's a good little quote. Okay. His question of the day was, he attempted to take up PHP programming to develop what is now a booming site. Let's just say I now have a full-time programmer because it didn't work out as planned. Understood. Stuart Tarrant says, that's how every episode should start. Just off the back of the internet's most passionate wine program, a full-on wine fall. If ever there was an excuse to give a wine a sniffy sniff, this was it. And Lawrence Leachman says, not rolling like P. Diddy, so doubt this wine is a play for me. The nerdiest thing I've done lately is the Thunder Cruise, and I loved it. And guess what? Thunder Cruise News 2010 coming soon. First wine. Cameron Hughes, Lot 124, Chardonnay from Los Carneros. Let's get into it. We got a lot of wine to cover today. It's a Friday, and so I know people are... Mott, why don't you zoom over there? You might stun some people. They might be seeing...
Yeah, no couch.
Yeah, it's a little shocking. We'll get into that a little bit later on an episode. Maybe episode 700 coming up. Will that be next Friday? If we stay consistent next week. We're getting close. Maybe we'll push it till Monday to get it. Quite oaky on this Chardonnay on the nose. I also do get a very interesting caramel butterscotch component coming through on the nose, which I am enjoying to a very solid level. Clearly buttered popcorn though, like just classic buttered, slightly over oaked, toasted wood, kind of like campfire-esque buttered Chardonnay action. Just that classic stuff that you expect to smell from a Benzinger, from a Havens in the past. Kind of smells like some of those. You know, definitely like a Pine Ridge. Has that kind of nose. Let's give it a whirl. Good acidity on the back end. Solid fruit, little pear action, sliced pear. Little heat in the back end, but 14.5 alcohol, so it's a little off balance on that aspect. Very boring, you know, if you really want to call a spade, and that's what I want to do. The wine definitely is lacking the charisma aspect that I really enjoy in Chardonnay. That, you know, a more interesting, maybe more mineral-driven Chablis type Chardonnay tends to bring. This is kind of basic, which is fine. But a 13 Bones, I think, is pushing the envelope. I mean, there is $9.99 Argentinian Chardonnay, Chilean Chard, California Chard, South African Chard that I've had that has this much kind of character and structure. To me, this is a classic 81, 82, 83 point type Chardonnay. You know, just that classic white piece of paper, you know, Stepford Mom kind of like, you know, everybody's the same kind of play. And that's kind of boring and a very disappointing start to the show for me on the Cameron Hughes Lot 124. I'm not feeling it. Really feel like I can replicate that for $7.99 to $9.99. Wine number 2. About 2,000 cases made of this lot. Cameron Hughes Lot 125 is Napa Carneros Pinot Noir. It is $20 US. And let's see what's going on here. Little rinse. Little rinsey rinse. Rinse in the big ass glass, which is always fun. And Pinot time. Good color. It's a good start. Let's see what's going on here. Pretty colors. Red, as they say. Let's give it a sniffy sniff. You know, subtle cherry flavors coming through. A little strawberry on the back end. Almost like a potpourri component. Little hints of leather dancing around as well. Almost like a shoe polish component coming through on the nose, which is kind of interesting. Also a little bit like a fungus play. A little mushroom action coming through. Let's give it a whirl. Good fruit, and what I mean by that is the intensity of the character of the fruit is very focused. I taste the wine, the tannins on the back of my palate and coming to the forefront is a very interesting flavor combination of cherries and radishes. I almost get like a great like red radish component on the mid palate, which I really quite enjoy. There's also a back end almost like coconut milk play, which I think is quite fascinating. And then it gets earthy towards the tail end. Bright fruit, very New World Pinot, a little bit lighter than I'd like to see. And I'll be honest with you, again, what I always think about with Cameron Hughes is value-driven stuff. This Pinot is standard. There's $15 to $17 Pinot Noir in the market that acts like this, and that concerns me. $20. I just don't know if that's like suggested retail, and you can get it a little cheaper. It's the stats I have in this wine. It drinks like a $15 to $20 Pinot, so it's not really bothering me. But again, with Cameron Hughes, I always get excited because I always think there's like value, or I always have found value. Not bad. Definitely not an appalling effort by any stretch of the imagination. Just not massively inspiring. It's actually quite interesting. It reminds me of a lot of Platoon. It's really, the movie, it's really good in the beginning. It actually really shows like, okay, this, like, at first I was like, ooh, this could get ridiculous. This could be a big moment for my palate with the Cameron Hughes. But I think it falls off dramatically. I think it's like the Roadrunner versus the Coyote. Remember how many times the Coyote fell off the cliff, Mott? With like an Acme bomb, or like the Roadrunner would just stop and the Coyote keeps going, and you look back, he's still in air, you're like, oh crap. Yeah, that's how I feel right now. I feel like the Coyote, and I don't like feeling like the Coyote. I'm going to score this wine 86 plus points. It's okay. It's definitely serviceable, and honestly, to the point where even if I was at a restaurant and I didn't see anything else I liked and I was in the mood for wine and this was on, I would order it and drink this bottle. But it is definitely not bringing the thunder. And is a hair disappointing considering it started out great. It's kind of like a lot of those ex-boyfriends and girlfriends. You know what I mean? Let's move on. Now, this is now under the Flying Winemaker line, which is more available out there. It's more of a brand than these kind of like club Costco wines that the lots have become, though you can find them in other places, like I said. I really like the concept of this. I think it's a great segue, again, from an entrepreneurial business standpoint. I think it's brilliant. And this is their Zinfandel from Ancient Vines from Lodi, 2007 Zinfandel Ancient Vines, overused term, Lodi, California, 14.5 alcohol content, about $10 US suggested retail, which probably means with retailers around the country, you can find it a little bit lower. So, you know, $8 to $12 wine probably. Zin, good price point for Zin. If you can find a deal in Zins at this price point, you're finding something. I like the package too. I like the concept. I like the story. Let's see what's going on here. Do they go into it a little bit? Mott, this is kind of like from him. In my years of traveling the world, making and sourcing wine, I've discovered some great wineries and winemakers. The Flying Winemaker allows me to share with you the fruits of their efforts. It's a cool concept. I really like it. It gives them massive flexibility to move where the market is. So the fact that, you know, Cameron Hughes could buy fruit from Portugal and make a Portuguese wine because of the concept, I think, is sniffy sniff. Wow, Mott, smell this. Very, very substantial fruit. Really smells like wild, right? It smells like melted down fruit roll-up. This wine, right?
I'll buy that.
Right? Smells again. It really smells like a fruit roll-up. Very bright fruit, very intense, and very sugary on the nose, right? You really smell like you're smelling candy. It's kind of fun though. I mean, it really smells also like real fruit punch. Like if your grandma made compote, you know, just like you took fruit and you squeezed it out. I mean, it's just, and put a bunch of sugar in it. It's got the smell of either one of two things: very authentic Eastern European fruit soup, or very artificial Americana production factory, you know, like melted down fruit roll-up, like it got too hot in the fruit roll-up factory and you walked in and you smelled it. So it's really this yin and yang of a nose, but it's quite wild. Let's give it a whirl.
Kind of early.
Wow. Very viscous. very much a cherry, strawberry, red fruit bomb of flavor. This could be a very popular style of wine because the sugar level, residual sugar, is a little higher than you normally see. Very interesting wine. A wine that I would say right now, if you're watching and trying to get your girlfriend or your boyfriend into red wines because you just want to, because they're only drinking white wines, maybe the kind of wine you want to give them, the sugar levels could be seductive. It's the kind of wine I would give to my grandma, who likes the Manischewitz because the fruit gets so high, as I try to segue her to more, structured red wines. Not that that's a need, but it's a curiosity to see if people will like it. I mean, Chitara likes it, which is quite interesting to me. Ma, what did you think?
Yeah, very sweet.
And for you, that means good, probably.
Yeah, but what was going on at the end? The sweetness just like fell off like right away.
I agree. I think the sweetness is the initial attack. It gets a little dry, comes a little more classic red wine, and then you start tasting some of that dark chocolate, bitter, tannins, which aren't that bitter because of the sweetness. It's kind of an interesting play. It's funny. I'm going to probably score this wine 87 points. I don't know if I hate it or if I like it or that I think it's interesting. I guess at the end of the day, what really fascinates me and what draws me to this wine is that it's the kind of wine I want to get into a lot of different people's hands. I don't think it's anything so spectacular. And I think there's some cheesiness to it because of the overfruit. At the same token, it's an enjoyable beverage. And so though it doesn't maybe fall and run to the classic style of structured fruit, that's what I mean, it's okay. Because it serves a purpose, and more importantly, I do think this is an expanding palate type of wine, the kind of transition wine that allows people to get into different things. I'm going to score this wine 87 points, and I think when you compare it to Rosenblum or some of the other, Bogles or some of the $7 or $8 wines out there, it serves a different and interesting purpose. I think it's worth you trying, and especially if you like big bright fruit. That was big and bright. Brig. If you like brig fruit, this is worth trying out. Interesting. Okay, the Tempranillo from Campo de Boro. This is a Spanish wine, flying winemaker. Tempranillo 07 from Campo de Boro. 500 meters elevation in the air, so a high yield, mountain kind of fruit type of thing. Really interesting area. You get a lot of a lot of the Spanish wines from Eric Salomon and Jorge Ordonez have had a lot of success from this part of the world. Really in that 6, 7, 8, 9 Los Rocas and those kind of things. Boro. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Some nice color, a little pomegranate juice color. Let's give it a sniffy sniff. Huh. Almost like an ashy kind of component on the nose, kind of like burnt ashes. I get dark fruit, almost like a black currant, blackberry play, a little mulberry even maybe on the nose subtly. Bright fruit as well, little residual sugar. Let's give it a whirl. Fantastic black pepper on the mid palate. Kind of tails off on the finish. Definitely like this whole like wild berry flavor, right? Like that dum dum flavor, like with the purple color, like kind of like wild berry, which is fine. Good like black tea meets pepper meets wild berry flavor. That's the overall schematic blueprint of this wine. It's a little fluffy. I like that term. It's a little fluffy, and what I mean by that is not totally focused. Little love handle action on this wine, which is just fine. Love the handles. I don't love it. I don't hate it. 85 points, which I think is a good thing. 10 bones, not horrible. Great Thursday night pizza wine. Wouldn't kick it out of bed on a Thursday night pizza wine play. At the same token, wouldn't rush out to date it on a Saturday. Make sense? Let's move on. Interesting. Cameron Hughes, Lot 128, Grenache. Grenache is a varietal I love so much. Chateau de Pape, Grenache, Spain, Prira. '07, also from Campo de Boro. 150 cases made of this wine, $20 US. A little hefty on the price for Grenache in this part of the world. And this one really stands out as, not that I want to call out Cameron Hughes, but big price, my man. Definitely a big price point, but let's taste the fruit. Going in with a negative preconceived notion, so I apologize. It's just, it's a big price for Grenache in this area. I don't know where he's buying this fruit from. This to me feels like, an interesting kind of little thing. Let's see. Anyway, really good dark fruit. Sniffy snippet. Good nose. I like it. Really dark fruit. Little like cove, like a clove. Little cloviness to it. Bright red fruit. Little cherry action. Maybe almost like a cinnamon component on the nose as well, which I find quite fascinating. Let's give it a whirl. Nice dark focus. What I mean by dark focus is I get really dark black tea meets blueberries, like crushed up blueberries, and like, again, high cocoa count, dark chocolate, and maybe like a piece of leather from a boot. Wrap that all together. Eat that. Focused, intense. I like that. Good pure fruit. Maybe the best fruit that we've tasted in the bunch. And so now I'm starting to understand maybe this comes from a better source than normal stuff from this area. A little creaminess, like a vanilla mocha kind of Starbucks feel to it. I like this. Little kirschy kind of thing going on. Liqueur-like, viscous. I like this wine. I'm going to score this wine 89 to 90 points. Little range to get SS Chris focus. Big shout out to SS Chris, who tirelessly handles the Gary scores up here in the tab. Click that. Sort it. Play with it. Or is it down? Is the spreadsheet down? Oh, it's up? All right. When did it go up? Yesterday? Because we're still there yet. Oof. Good wine. 89 to 90. Holding off on a final judgment. I'd like to see where it evolves over next year, but pretty good wine. I liked it. Very caught off guard. Went in probably looking to most diss it because I thought it was overpriced for the category. This is the best part of calling a spade and the best part of wine. You really never know. '06. Stag's Leap District. Great source of fruit. Lot 100. It's a big number for him. 2006, Cameron Hughes, Cabernet Sauvignon, 4,000 cases made, 97 Cab, 3% Petit Verdot, $20 US. And I am excited to try this wine. Very good nose. I like the smell of this wine quite a bit. The aromatics are appealing to me. Little creaminess, which I like, almost like that, like heavy cream, right? I love cream, and I just I like cream. Cream. Cash rules everything around me. Anyway, heavy cream mixed with fruit. So this feels like a very extravagant like brunch where you're like first meeting the in-laws and you go to an expensive place and you order the heavy cream fruit kind of thing. It gives it that kind of smell. There's also like a nice essence of like bark and wood. I think the oak is quite positively integrated into this wine, which is such a misplay for so many wines. And so that right off the top is something appealing to me. Little cranberry play on the back end. You guys pick that up? This is some wine I think a lot of you are going to be able to pick up. It's like a cranberry, a little ocean spray from the ocean that I get on the back end. Let's give this a whirl. We had our rough patches along the way with this episode, but CH is coming through strong on the finish here. I like this Cabernet. I think this is a very elegant effort. I like the polish. I like the smoothness. I like the freshness of the fruit. I feel like I'm tasting the vineyard. I like the subtleties. I get a little like sawdust flavor on the mid palate, a little dryness. I like sawdust. It's an underrated flavor component that I don't think too many people don't pick up on wine. I also find a very inky kind of play with this wine. I almost feel like my pen exploded in my mouth, but it was delicious. Do you see where I'm going with that? The pen was delicious, my friends. And that's what this wine does. Very, very well made. And definitely the most exceptional wine of this bunch. As a matter of fact, it's going to make me lower this one to 88 to 89. I'm rescoring this as 79 out of pure reminder of disgust. And I'm going 90 points on the Cabernet because I think this wine really brought the thunder. And I think really it's $20. I'm curious, is this available for 16 or 17? I don't know how they sell it, but boy, at 16, 17 bucks, I'd be really bullish on this wine because it's hard to find really good California Cabernet under 20 bones, and this is one. I like the integration. To me, this is balance. And when you have balance, it's harmony. It's like music. It's art. It's like a personality. It's never great to go too extreme. That middle, that gray zone is so delicious in life, in my opinion. You can go out of the lines once in a while, but that gray zone, unemotional, love that. That's what I think this wine is. It's just that perfect. It can sway. It's got the move. I like this. This is a good wine. Good cab. Good job. Really impressive work, Cameron. 90 points, 90 plus. This will appeal to a lot of Cabernet drinkers. And so if you're drinking Franciscan or Simi, Rodney Strongs and all that kind of jazz, Sinskys and Pine Ridges, was a wine definitely worth discovering. Now, question of the day is being flipped on its switch. It's going to be statement of the day today. I've got a weekend where I got a little time. It's fun for me to catch up with the Vayner Nation. I want it. I need you. Lurkers, pay attention. Please leave a comment about whatever you want. My inbox is getting destroyed. I'm getting too many tweets. Facebook. There's so much going on. Tell me what you want to tell me. I'm going to read every one of them. And more importantly, Mott linked this up. Pay attention. If you leave a comment, please email Mott at cmott@winelibrary, CMOTT@winelibrary.com. He will link it up. Email him your address and just say my address in the title so Mott can manage that. Leave him your address. That's all I'm saying. Tell me what you want to tell me. I'd love to read it. Pros, cons. Pros. You! With a little bit of me. Thank you for Cameron Hughes. I hope you guys picked up some information out there. One of the more widely available wines in the Costco's in this country, so look for them. Some good ones. Some clunkers. I was a little disappointed in some, but very impressed with the Cabernet. You, with a little bit of me, we are changing the wine world.